Hello there, my name is Brian Nolan. I've spent the last 30 years working around people at end of life in healthcare, and I've been very passionate all that time in trying to deliver the best possible care to people at what is a very difficult time in their lives, both for themselves and for their families. And a lot of that has been around training and supporting staff to enter into and have difficult conversations with people about the most extraordinary and important things. The problem we have with talking to people around end of life or even caring for people at end of life is that nobody teaches us how. Some of us are naturally gifted in this department, but a lot of us really struggle, and we struggle for all the right reasons. When we come upon people who are upset or in distress, our initial reaction is, I couldn't go in there. I wouldn't know what to say. I might cause upset. I might make it worse. I wouldn't know what to do for that person. What if they started to cry? How would I manage with that? I might get into trouble. Particularly in healthcare, people are trained to identify problems, to sort problems, and to move on. When you come to something like end of life and you can't fix it, you can't sort it, and you can't move on, what happens? We tend to freeze, and we tend to deal with people at a remove. We tend to start talking about people rather than to them. I'm very conscious in this landscape we have now of COVID-19 of all the different restrictions around isolation that are placed on people in hospital, and what a challenge it must be for those who are trying to provide care for people at end of life to actually do so with dignity and respect. So I'm just asking, I suppose, that fundamental question. How can we provide the best possible care for people at end of life? And I've created a series of little videos. This is the first one. And I'm just offering a few thoughts and suggestions about what might make it easy for you if you're providing care for somebody at this time, in spite of all those restrictions. So I think where we need to begin is with yourself. And I'd like you to just be quiet for a moment in your head. And I'm going to ask you one very direct question. What if it was you that had a diagnosis of COVID-19? What if it was you who were in the hospital bed, in that room or in that ward? I'd like you to go into that space in your mind and just ask yourself, what would that like? What would that be like for me? What would I be thinking? What would I be worrying about? What would be my biggest concern? And I suppose following on from that, the other question I'd like you to ask yourself, what would I need from my carer right now? And even more importantly, how would I like my carer to be with me in this space? Just think about that for a minute. Don't think about it too deeply. What's coming up for you instantly in your head? What are your initial thoughts? If you get a chance, even jot them down when this is over. I think a lot of the thoughts that come up for people at time of crisis are very similar. Yes, we're all individuals and we have different needs and wants, but when we're in crisis, and particularly when we're coming towards the end of life, there are certain things that come into sharp focus. And those feelings are the need for honesty. I would like you to be honest with me. I'd like you to respect me. I'd like you to be kind. I'd like to feel that I was being minded. I'd like to feel safe. I think that's a huge one. I'd like to be included. I think most importantly, I'd like also to be given information. When everything else is out of control, at least if I feel I've got good information, that will give me a sense of control, even if the news is very bad. I'd like you to understand me. I'd like you to acknowledge that this can be very scary for me at times. And I'd like you to sit with me, and I'd like you to offer me comfort. And I think probably my biggest fear, and it would be particularly acute in this time of isolation, I think I'd be afraid of being on my own. And I think if I could have reassurance from you that you would be there or near me, or that my family could join me on Skype or even by FaceTime or whatever means, I think that would help an awful lot. So yes, I know we're all different, but I think these are the fundamental fears, these are the fundamental thoughts that come up for people. And the next time you're approaching somebody or you're going in to meet somebody who's worried, upset or distressed, or you're going in to offer that person care, I would just like to simply ask yourself, if that was me, what would I need from my carer? How would I want my carer to be with me? I promise you, if you follow that, you won't go too far wrong.